All right, so Praneshwari did give us a hint, but we didn't perhaps stress it very much, about learning a verse. Well, this is just after Ram Navami, and things have been happening. Always there's something happening, so we didn't come back to it. But Praneshwari did mention about learning a verse. It says, Sakrit eva prapanno yas, this verse, chapter 9, verse 4 of Prapanna Jivanamritam. The verse when Ramachandra, he declares, one who once comes to me, just once comes and surrenders to me, saying, I am yours. And with that prayer, that I've come to surrender to you, then I give them fearlessness for all time to come. This is my vow. That's a rough translation, of course. Then I'm just, Praneshwari put it there in the chat box. I was just going to say, did anybody learn this verse?
I put a version that is on Chaitanya Charitamrita. But the translation is different in our Prapanna Jivanamrita, a little bit different.
Yes, translation
it's
may be
more poetic, more poetic.
Maybe a little different. Oh, there we are. Sakrit eva prapanno yas. Oh, I have to make this bigger. Sakrit eva prapanno yas tavasmiti cha yachate. Abhayang sarvada tasmai dedam yetad vratang mama. It is my vow that if one only once seriously surrenders unto me, saying, my dear Lord, from this day I am yours, and prays to me for courage. I shall immediately award courage to that person, and he will always remain safe from that time on. Yes. Yes, I mean, that's one of the wonderful things with Sanskrit, that we know, as with the Atmarama verse, that different angles of vision can come from one verse. So I think Paramanandhu knows this verse already. You don't? No. Okay, it is a verse that comes up, quite often. It's a verse that comes up a lot. And Sudarshan Prabhu, in his children's class, Back to Basics for Kids, correct?
Bhakti Yoga. Bhakti Yoga for Kids.
Okay, Bhakti Yoga for Kids. Sudarshan Prabhu, as always, gave a very nice class. And he encouraged everyone to learn that, and Praneshwari pointed this verse out because it is one of those verses which is classic. Anyway, I was just asking because yesterday, in the forest yesterday, I remembered about this verse. And so one of the magic things with our little phones in our pockets, we can actually search a verse and find it, even when we're in the rain in the forest under an umbrella, as I was yesterday. And anyhow, I tried to learn it, but didn't get it fluent yet. But we can give ourselves some homework, because we had mentioned before, okay, it's good to have some homework now and again. So Praneshwari is sharing her screen, but it's a very beautiful flower, no doubt. Oh, because it says, oh no, it says BBBC, back to basics. So Praneshwari is sharing her screen, and we're all in anticipation, wondering what's going to show up. Instructions from the Lord, Bhakti Yoga for Kids. Prapanna Jivanamritam 9.4.
So the difference in the translation, this one is so sweet and so beautiful, Maharaj.
Okay, so, but remember this, the top line here is Guru Maharaj's introduction to the verse. If one seeks refuge in him just once, he awards fearlessness to that person forever. Okay, so this is Guru Maharaj explaining the verse, introducing the verse. Then, Sakrit eva prapanno yas tasmiti cha sorry, tavasmiti cha yachate. Abhayang sarvada tasmai dadamye tadvratang mama. It is my pledge that if anyone just once sincerely petitions me for shelter, saying, I am yours, then I grant him courage for all time to come.
Maharaj, a question.
Yes.
This translation asks for commentary. It feels that there is a continuation. So please, can you comment? Can you make a certain conclusion? So what is that courage for?
Okay. There is a question for a commentary. And well, first of all, commentary is that beginning point that it's a very relevant verse because the devotees, we can all feel hopeless in this world. And hopeless in this world means that many obstacles will come. And that reminds me of something else, if we could read or quote to. Excuse me. And we can then start, being fearful about all sorts of things in this world, including that, okay, now I've started on my journey, we're trying to go forward, but it seems like so many difficulties may come on our way, and so many difficulties we not only kind of fear that they're going to come, but they do come. Difficulties come on any journey. It's basically not possible to have a journey without some difficulties. But we will not fear that because we've come under the protection of the Lord. And so our journey, we are actually assured of success as long as we stay sincere and faithful. And even if some obstacles come, even if some slipping comes, that, we're not making our journey so successfully. But we must not be fearful of different things. And one of them being fearful of our bad karma, which is coming to bite us. We just tolerate all these things, knowing that we've got the guiding hand from above. And fearful, in other words, not to be fearful that we're going to be unsuccessful. Our journey, it is a substantial journey, and we need to come to the Lord's lotus feet. And that is where we're going to go. Now, at the same time, we do know that there is fear in this world. In Srimad Bhagavatam, in Chaitanya Charitamrita, there's a little bit of a funny part. I mean, there are lots of funny parts. Smiling in many places in Chaitanya Charitamrita. I mean, lots of things, and immediately a little list comes to mind. But there was one part when Mahaprabhu, then he was Mahaprabhu, he was in ecstatic love when he'd gone to Vrindavan, he's on his way back from Vrindavan, and he was in ecstasy, and he fell to the ground and fainted. And then the Turkish soldiers, or the Pathan soldiers, and they saw that he was unconscious, and then they saw these devotees around him, and then they thought, okay, these people, they've given him some poison, datura, something. They've given him some poison, and then they've plundered all his riches, and now they're trying, they're going to go away. So at that point, the soldiers came, and then I don't remember exactly who was there in the gathering, but there were a couple of them who were quite fearless. And
Balabhadra, Bhattacharya, his Bengali servant.
Okay, well,
then
I wasn't going to
Brahman,
name them. I wasn't going to
Kṛṣṇa.
name the Bengalis. I wanted to name the non-Bengalis. I wasn't going to name the Bengalis, but now it feels a bit bad. Now I don't want to say the rest of it because you identified who is there. But the Pathan soldiers, then they are accusing, and they say, and you You two, perhaps, who are from Bengal, you two who are trembling, you are from Bengal. And there, some explanation is given that the Bengalis, they're not warriors. And so they were trembling out of fear of these Pathan soldiers who were coming, threatening to beat them up or kill them. And the other two, okay, you can say who stood up and like fearlessly said, oh, I have, a whole army just over that ridge. If I call out, they'll come and beat you.
Kṛṣṇa Das Maharaj. He was a Rajput. He was a Rajput who came from the village opposite Imlitala.
Okay.
The other side of Jamuna. He had some kind of establishment. He saw Mahaprabhu sitting under Imlitala and he got instantly attracted. So he followed him. I said he did not even come back home. And even though he had a family, he just followed Mahaprabhu everywhere. And then the second who stood up was the Mathura Brahman, who was disciple of Madhavendra Puri, who said that, oh, I knew so many high officials in the court, so don't mess with us.
Yeah. Okay. So those are the two heroes, but became a bit of a long story, but for the fact that, still, you've got the devotees, their nature is to be somewhat fearful, but still, whatever the external, we may get some fear from something that happens around us, but the fearfulness, the fearlessness is identified that whatever is going to happen, we're going to be, with the Lord, we're on the right path, we're doing the right thing. So, this is one aspect of the fearlessness, that we just have to be confident that we're going to reach our home, knowing, and it's not a false confidence. Krishna, as Ramachandra, is giving that promise. You surrender to me just once, and it is my vow. On the last line, it has vratam mayam, vratam mam, something. Anyway, you've got the thing in front of you. I don't have it in front of you because I didn't learn it properly. Though on a quiet moment, I might be able to say it without looking at it. Dadam yetad vratang mama. Yes, mama. So this is my vow. I give that vow to them. So this is one aspect of that fearlessness. And it is fearlessness. We must know we're doing the right thing and we have the courage to do the right thing. So here we are. And I think that Paramananda Prabhu has something in mind to mention about that fearlessness. Paramananda Prabhu, reveal you.
You're asking a very fearful person, Maharaj.
I'm asking a fearful person.
Really?
Doesn't sound like Paramananda, and it doesn't sound like the Russians, including those present with us. Oh, what happened?
Maharaj.
What happened to our other Russian? Okay, we'll be around.
I'm telling you, you're having a wrong picture about Russians. This is another Russian ran away as soon as they started talking about being fearless and face the obstacles. I'm only one standing up. But Radha Sundar is there, but she's half Indian, so doesn't really count. But anyhow, I remember, Maharaj, just a personal experience when Srila Gurudev asked me to give up everything and surrender exclusively to the service of the Lord. That was the biggest fear I ever experienced in my life. Just giving up everything, really. And I have to confess that was just unbelievably fearful. But on the Shastra subject, and we hear how Srila Guru Maharaj is saying that we are moving towards the land of Abhayam, the land of immortality. There is no fear. So we have to move in that kind of mood, embracing Lord's guardianship and having full faith that Krishna will protect us. So this is one of two principles of Sharanagati. This is how we're moving in that direction, along with other principles of Sharanagati, trying to practice it in our spiritual life. But we're hearing through different Shastras how Krishna is promising that. And Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, no doubt, Puranas and Itihasas and Upanishads, they're stating that. Just take Bhagavad Gita, because everybody is very familiar with Bhagavad Gita. There are several shlokas where Krishna is saying Like first he's saying, Arjuna, you tell, the famous verse, Apichet Suduracharo Bhajate Mamanani Bhak. The second verse is stating, Kauntiya Pratijanihi. He says, Kauntiya, O son of Kunti, proclaim clear and loud to everybody. Name Bhakta Pranashati. He said, my Bhakta will never be in trouble, will never vanish. Nothing is going to happen to him. You say that, because to me, they may not believe, because I cheated so many. Here we go, another humorous thing, that Kṛṣṇa, he is under suspicion, being thief, and sometimes he's saying something, but not exactly fulfilling what he said. And that's why he's saying, Arjuna, you are the Dharmatma. If you say so, everyone will take it as the absolute truth. So he said, you say that. And then later on, Kṛṣṇa is also saying, when Arjuna is lamenting the fact that he needs to fight, then he's saying, Arjuna, leave that fear. Just surrender to me. Everything is nimitta matra bhava savyasachi. He said, I already killed everybody. So just be an instrument. Just fulfill my desire. Do not fear anything. And then we move on towards the end of Bhagavad Gita. Sarva dharma paritija mamikam sharanam braja ham tvam sarva papebhyo moksha ishime. Ma shuchaha. Krishna says, Ma shuchaha. Don't be worried about anything. I will give you full shelter. Everything will be wonderful. Don't fear. Give up everything. Come to me. Surrender to me. Listen to what I say. Follow my instruction. Fulfill my desires. So this is Krishna. And leave everything else. It's not important. In fact, whatever I just said to you, it's the end of Bhagavad Gita. Whatever I told you about different yogas, different engagements, different philosophies, give that up as well. It's not important. What is important is you come to me. Serve to me. That is the Dharma. The Sarva Dharma. But everything else is not important. So it's not Sarva Dharma, it would be like Srila Rupa Goswami in 8th verse of Padishamritam saying that this is the essence of all instructions. So this is what it is. And really, we're trying. And Srila Guru Maharaj, remember when Srila Guru Maharaj is saying that at some point we have to jump, and we're thinking we're jumping into something unknown. We have to make that jump. But really, where are we going to land? In affectionate hands of the Lord. He is not going to let us smash against the hard surface. No, he is going to catch up. We have to make that step to surrender, fully surrender. So that's what it means to embrace Krishna's guardianship and always think that he will protect me in any circumstance.
And in that guardianship, that idea that, oh, we're being protected by him, then I do have just a few words from Guru Maharaj here because I have them here. And it's exactly the commenting or utilizing that verse, very famous verse from Bhagavad Gita, Savadaman Parityaja Mamikang Sharanang Vraja Ahang Tang Savapabebhyo Moksha Ishyami Ma Shuchaha. So we know this. We abandon all kinds of religion. Okay, here's saying, abandon all other conceptions of duty and just surrender unto me. Have no fear. I shall protect you and free you from all sinful reactions that may arise from neglecting your ordinary duties. And then, just a very sweet, it's one paragraph and then just 4 lines. Srila Guru Maharaj saying, different material tendencies and mental impulses may attack us. Even Indra himself, the king of heaven and the controller of all ordinary activities, he may attack us. But if we are attentive towards our goal, if we are careful to read the order of Kṛṣṇa, then he, Kṛṣṇa, will protect us in the shade of his lotus feet. He will give us shelter under the shade of Govardhan hill, where no Indra will be able to touch our heads. And with full faith that Kṛṣṇa will give us protection, we should try to take shelter under Govardhan hill and pray, "O Kṛṣṇa, give me protection from all the difficulties that may come to attack me because of my leaving behind my ordinary obligations." Then Guru Maharaj say, although many anomalies may try to catch us, Kṛṣṇa will protect us. And in his representation as Govardhan Hill, that wonderful master of the cows will save us from all sorts of difficulties. How is this possible? God works wonders. His ways are unknown and inconceivable. Jai Srila Guru Maharaj. And Paramananda Prabhu too mentioning about this idea that we have to jump. At some point we have to make a jump in our surrender. And Guru Maharaj was being asked, and this must be 82, I suppose. I mean, we were there, so 82 or 83, I think it was 82. Guru Maharaj was asked, actually, this is about sannyas and in relation to a devotee, and about sannyas and being brave when it's coming from above, that you should take sannyas, to be brave, to make that commitment. And the devotee are hesitating. And Guru Maharaj giving the example is, if we know what is in front of us, if we are trapped somewhere, we are trapped, which is where we are now, we're trapped in this material world. But we know that beyond this wall and that like moat, whatever it may be, the obstacles, is such a wonderful place, like, actual freedom. We're not talking about Brahmajyoti, we're talking about such a wonderful land. How about wonderful Kṛṣṇa with his cows? So when we know that that is there, then we are on a wall and we jumping. We don't exactly know where we're going to fall. We don't exactly know what's there. But if we really want to get out of where we are, understand how bad it is behind me and how good it is, how everything wonderful in front of me, then we will be prepared to jump off that wall, and at the risk of breaking a leg, at the risk of some injury. But it's that kind of desperation, like a prisoner trying to escape from a hellish prison or something like that. We are trying to go somewhere, but jump. And then again, we can say this fearlessness aspect, that we don't know if we get a broken leg, if we're going to get anything along the way. But even if that happens, that's a small price to pay for the long-term situation there. So Guru Maharaj gave that example.
Right, Srila Gurudev, he quoted the verse by Srila Rupa Goswami where he describes the nature of chatak birds, and he compares an exclusive devotee to the chatak bird, because that bird does not take any water. He said that even if there is an abundance of water, lakes and rivers and oceans, the chatak bird will not touch a single drop from there. She will only wait for the rainwater. But when the rainwater comes, the thunder comes. But fearlessly, she will just hanker for a single drop, even though she may face the thunder and be smited by the thunder, still ready to risk everything just for that single drop. And she would have said, not just fearlessness, but exclusive devotion, that what accompanies that fearlessness. So we're moving in that particular direction. We're not desiring to enter a spiritual world in whole, Vaikunta, Ayodhya, Mathura, Dwaraka. No, the very, very exclusive path that we're following because of the special grace of our Guru Varga. So Rupa Goswami is pointing that out. Also, another Bhagavad Gita example, Mahabharata example, when Arjuna is trying to pass the exam and Dronacharya is dismissing his brothers. Remember that story about the eye of the bird?
Mm-hmm.
And in a similar way, it can be explained, even though it's not presented, that kind of explanation is not readily presented there. But we think about Srila Guru Maharaj, it can only end in that exclusive devotion to the lotus feet of our Guru Varga.
Paramananda Prabhu is absolutely correct, Jai.
Jai, that's a Narayani sound. Yes, Narayani.
I wish I could find my tablet, but I can't right now. I'm just on an old cell phone, so listening and then trying to, and then hearing, and then trying to be in respect. My So many dandavats.
So many dandavats. Not
Too many
Koti,
dandavats.
not Koti dandavats, you're
Koti
Narayani.
dandavats, Maharaj. Only my father taught me, right?
All right.
The very best of those both. So Jai Dandavat Maharaj, Paramananda Prabhu ki jai, Avadut Maharaj ki jai, Naran Maharaj ki jai.
Jai, all of our Maharajas, all our Chaitanya Saraswat Acharya Vrinda ki Jai. And Jai Mahaprabhu, Vishnu Priya's Mahaprabhu ki Jai.
Jai.
Jai Devan, you can't, maybe if you're on an old phone, you can't see it, but Jai Dev Prabhu and Chintamani did have their emblem, I don't know what you call it, the thumbnail they have is Mahaprabhu.
Beautiful.
You can see, yeah, beautiful.
Hmm?
Hare Krishna.
Jai.
And another mini quote from Srila Gurudev is, the only origin of fear is lack of harmony.
Jai.
Fear is born through disappointment resulting from lack of harmony. If that does not exist, then there is no place for fear. How about that?
Mm-hmm.
That's Gurudev. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare.
And Guru Maharaj, oh yes, Guru Maharaj talking about Jajava Maharaj. I put it hesitating. Yes, when Jajava Maharaj was hesitating about taking sannyas. This is in Sermons, Volume 3. Then this is so Srila Guru Maharaj put it to Srila Prabhupada. His Srila Prabhupada means all of our Prabhupada, but means Srila Sri Maharaj, that Jajava Maharaj was hesitating. And Srila Prabhupada, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's Prabhupada's response to him was, you are frightened. Fear is in this world, but you are going to take shelter in the Abhaya Pada, the fearless holy feet. Where is the fear? Don't have any apprehension. All fear is confined here in this plane, but you are going to take shelter above this area of fear. You want to enter into the fearless area. You are going to connect with the fearless world. Rather, this world is the fearful place. Because Jajava Maharaj, I forget his original name, but Jajava Maharaj, he was young, relatively young, and he was expressing some fear, some hesitation to take sannyas. And Guru Maharaj said, this came from his, Srila Prabhupada, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's mouth. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Maharaj.
Yes.
Can you tell us the story of Shyamananda Prabhu? It was his appearance a few days ago, but I think maybe some of us haven't heard it.
Well, Prabhu, how about you tell the story? Because I'm not being humble. You are our master storyteller.
Maharaj, I'm not master anything.
Okay.
How about you start this story and maybe I can just add something, because I wanted to hear it from you.
Well, I haven't actually this year revised his actual appearance and that part of his pastime. And to get the facts right, I would need to check it, and maybe you have. But Shyamananda, he is one of the next generation, means after Mahaprabhu's direct manifested Leela. So it's all part of Mahaprabhu's Leela. But Shyamananda Srinivasa and Narottam Das Thakur, they became students of Jiva Goswami. And incidentally, none of them were the direct disciple of Jiva Goswami. But it is in the devotion, understanding of, as servants.
Maharaj, you're breaking up.
Need. What about now? I mean,
can you speak for a while? Still, Maharaj, still.
Prabhu Nityananda. Oh, they
still.
Sometimes the internet's like a little bit lagging or something, so asking you to speak so that we can still hear you. So
okay.
Yes, please.
Okay. Maybe, I mean, I can change.
It seems to be okay now, Maharaj.
Yay.
Govinda, Govinda. So
you stopped at the point when you said that they were not direct disciples of Jiva Goswami, but have been given to him into his care by other Vaishnavas.
Right, and this is another of many examples about the unity under the shelter of the pure devotees, under the shelter of the Vaishnavas, and the unity being that Jiva Goswami, he is the master of them all, but they have their own parents, as it were, spiritual parents, in the sense of each of them has their initiating spiritual master. But it is not a matter of party spirit or any other spirit. It is just like we have different parents, but we are going to one school where we have our teachers in the school, we're going, etc., to different places where we're getting our proper education in a proper way. And so Shyamananda came to Jiva Goswami, and he became one of his 3 most prominent students. And Shyamananda, he got the title, at that time, he got the title of Prabhu. Now we are hearing Prabhu because Srila Saraswati Thakur established this for very good reason. I mean, perfect reasons. Everything that they do is perfect. Now we tend to hear the name Prabhu, and little bit we forget that it really means, master, Lord. For instance, in Chaitanya Charitamrita, it's repeatedly Prabhu Kohe, Mahaprabhu said. So Prabhu is a high title, and actually Srila Saraswati Thakur established Prabhu because of the Brahminical section, who were very stuck in that they are the masters, they are the senior most persons in society, etc. But Saraswati Thakur wants to point out the supremacy of the Vaishnavas above everything else, and so giving this, in a way that only he could, giving Prabhu as the address to the devotees, meaning master, and even like in context of the Lord in many ways. So this was a high title given to Shyamananda. So it became Srinivas Acharya, Narottam Das Thakur, and Shyamananda Prabhu. And so this is some recognition of Shyamananda's, efficiency and capacity. Now,
Maharaj, but he wasn't called Shyamananda in the beginning. How did that happen? He was Dukhi Kṛṣṇa Das.
Yeah, Dukha, sad, sad Krishna. Well, Prabhu, it sounds to me like you've been doing your homework better than me. So you can tell us, please, you tell us, because I haven't just recently refreshed this. We talked a little bit about Shyamananda. You please tell us. You are our certified storyteller, Paramananda.
Maharaj, I heard from Srila Gurudev, both Srila Gurudev and recording of Srila Guru Maharaj. And sometime, actually, yes, both of them are wonderful. And of course, they're all matching and everything. And it is a wondrous pastimes, but it is a unique, this stressed the point, how unique it was in our Sampradaya. This whole case of Shyamananda, Dukhi Kṛṣṇa Das becoming Shyamananda. And like we mentioned, he was not a direct disciple of Jiva Goswami in the sense that he was initiated by Hridoy Chaitanya who was the disciple of Gauridas Pandit. And Maharaj being to that place, the Gauridas Pandit's temple, I think they were the first deities of Gaur Nitai, right, Maharaj? Ambika
Whether
Kalna?
they were the first deities or not, I'm not sure, but they were installed there in Mahaprabhu's time. I can't exactly say they were the very first. I'm not sure.
But anyhow, so he is the disciple of Gauridas Pandit, Hridoy Chaitanya, the one who organized the festival on the banks of the, I'm not sure, was it the Ganges, while Gauridas Pandit was absent. And it was such a great festival, and he possessed such a great devotion that Mahaprabhu and Nityananda, they jumped from the altar and they started dancing amongst the devotees. And then Gauridas arrives and he sees that, and he's very much, he had this trauma when, like, Mahaprabhu and Nityananda, they came to his house. And then at some point they said, okay, we have to leave. But Gauridas Pandit couldn't conceive his life without their presence. So this is how the deities got manifested. They say, okay, in this case, we will give you the deities. And then they manifested the form of the deities. Gauridas Pandit said, no, 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 I want real you. And then again, they reveal the deities become Nityananda and Mahaprabhu. And they kept doing that till he was completely bewildered. So they sneaked out and the deities were there. And somehow he's got this trauma that Lord may leave his home. So the deities were installed, and there was a lock, and he instructed his disciple, make sure they're staying, they don't run away. He went on business, and then he sees this picture, Nityananda, Mahaprabhu, they're dancing in Gauridas Pandit, the other Vaishnavas, they're having festival. So he ran. He was so scared that they will leave his home, that he ran. And when Mahaprabhu and Nityananda, they saw Gauridas Pandit in that kind of mood of chastisement, approaching his disciple and them, they jumped into the heart of that disciple. And he became known as Hridoy Chaitanya, the one in whose heart Chaitanya always residing. Anyhow, so he was the guru of Shamananda, Dukhi Krishnadas. And we hear from Srila Gurudev how his service, like we know, and Maharaj can tell us more about it, our ashram, our temple in Vrindavan is located actually, and I don't think I'm wrong, Maharaj, but we can say these were the grounds of Srila Jiva Goswami's ashram. Because now it is separated, this temple, that temple, correct?
Absolutely, absolutely. And Gurudev always considered still it is such.
Also the Seva Kunj, we can imagine, it's not the area that is behind the walls where always go. It was much bigger and wider area at that time. So Shamananda Prabhu, one of his service, Dukhi Krishnadas service, was actually to sweep the grounds of Seva Kunj area. Every day he would do that, every day. And while he is doing that, he is not just doing his duty. No, his heart is overflowing with love for Krishna. He's always thinking, he's chanting, he's thinking about the Lord. And one day he finds this nupur, a little anklet with the little bells on it. And when he looks at it, he thinks, oh, that is very unusual, very special. But once he touches it, this is when that connection happens. He realizes this is not of this world. It must have come from the upper world. It's the item from Galoka. And one of the ladies associate of Krishna must have lost it during the night, during the Rasa Lila pastime. It's very intimate pastimes, but anyhow, so he kept it. And then shortly after that, of course, what happens? Lalita finds out, and we know the nature of Lalita Devi. If something is wrong, she notices anything wrong, even the slightest of the slightest, she is on it 1000%. And then she finds out the nupur is missing. And it can spark all sorts of consequences. The Jatil and Kutil can say, hey, yesterday evening there was a nupur. This morning there was no nupur. So what is happening? Where have you been? All sorts of leelas. The Jatil and Kutil, they're two older ladies who are always spying on Srimati Radharani and spreading the gossips. And yes, in the spiritual world, this kind of drama is also necessary. There's a very humorous description of Jatil and Kutil by Srila Rupa Goswami, actually, but we're not going there. Anyhow, so he keeps the anklet. And at some point, he's sweeping And then one beautiful lady approaching, covered lady, she is approaching him and saying, I see you sweeping here every day. Have you found anything? And then realizing that she is not a regular lady. And really, Dukhi Kṛṣṇa Das, he is a devotee. And that is only possible by devotion, by bhakti. Like we say, Primanjana Churita Bhakti Vilochanena. If your heart and your eyes are touched by prema, by bhakti, then you can recognize that in front of you is none other than Lalita Devi. So he understood that. Some realization came. And Lalita said, oh, can I have it back? It belongs to my mistress. So please, give it back. And then Shyamananda said, bowing down her lotus feet, and he's saying, I can only give it to her personally. So can you arrange that? They bargained for a while. It's a very also very humorous and a very sweet and beautiful story. And at some point, Lalita says, okay, let it be your way. Be here at this particular time, and then I will ask my mistress to come. And of course, that happens. And Shyamananda, Dukhi Kṛṣṇa Das, then he gets the darshan of Shrimati Radharani, understanding who is it. And she is very pleased with his services. And we know that she takes that nupur and touches his forehead. And then on the forehead, a beautiful tilak is manifested. Haven't been seen before. It's totally new, very unusual, very unique. And then after the meeting, overflown with ecstasy, he's going back to Jiva Goswami. And she says, from now on, you will be known as Shyamananda, the one who gives pleasure to Shyam, Krishna. And more than that, I want to claim you for myself. I'm telling my Sakhi to take you into my Sakhi camp, which is also very unusual. Why it is an unusual case? Because he belonged to the Sakhya Rasa. But the Sakhis, they're taking a male friend of Krishna into the female camp. This is also very deep, very unusual. Only Guru Maharaj and Gurudev can speak of it. But that what happened, and he goes back to Jiva Goswami, and Jiva Goswami observes his behavior. And he is the connoisseur, he knows something happened. And then he asks Shyamananda, and Shyamananda tells the story. And then Jiva Goswami, just to be sure, he says, if that is true, let us try and delete this tilak. Who knows? Always questioning, always unsure. And Shyamananda said, please, Prabhu, you do it. And Jiva Goswami tries to rub it off. The tilak wouldn't come out. It stays there. Impossible to rub it off. And then he accepts it. Some realization comes to his heart. Of course, when something like that happens, the news spread very fast. Even without internet, without telephones at that time, news traveled very quickly what happened in Vrindavan. It's a miracle, a beautiful event. And it reaches the ears of Hridoy Chaitanya. And he is very angry. By the time it reaches Bengal, I guess Maharaj, it's already, in a way, distorted news. And was something like Jiva Goswami, he took him as his disciple, he renamed him as Shyamananda, and more than that, he is giving this tilak to him to wear. And then Hridoy Chaitanya, he is very angry. He is well versed in Vaishnava etiquette. He travels immediately, leaving everything. He travels immediately to Vrindavan to challenge Jiva Goswami. And he's a senior Vaishnava to Jiva Goswami. Jiva Goswami is the younger generation, so he knows the etiquette. He's upset about it. And Srila Gurudev says that Jiva Goswami, he does not accept the challenge. He remains in his ashram, and he says, Shyamananda, you go and you tell your guru what happened. And when Shyamananda goes, he tells the guru, and guru tries to scrap the tilak, wouldn't come off. So he understands that something divine have happened. And then that night, Lalita, a little bit angry, Gurudev said, coming and saying, chastising him. Why would you question someone like Jiva Goswami? Why would you question Shyamananda? Where is your faith? And in fact, my mistress said, we are claiming him. So please give him to us. Give him up. We're claiming him. That's it. If you have any questions, you put it in front of Krishna. But that's it. It is decided. We're taking him to our camp. So then Shyamananda Prabhu becomes Shyamananda Prabhu, and no more Dukhi Kṛṣṇa Das. And like Maharaj said, they were the first, the prominent disciples of Srila Jiva Goswami. And it was the first book distribution party in the history of Vaishnavism, actually. Well, not counting Mahaprabhu, distributing Brahma Samhita and Krishna Karnamritam, but all these shastras of Goswamis were loaded on a cart and then taken to Keturigram for the first festival, but that's another story. So he was one of those three personalities. And even though Maharaj, it's noticeable that Narottam Das Thakur, he is known to be preaching very widely, composing so many songs. Srinivasacharya as a great preacher, but Shyamananda Prabhu, he's occupying very humble position in Sampradaya. But how exalted is his position in the same time? So Srila Gurudev pointed that out, saying that we have to be careful to analyze, to see in a certain way the Vaishnavas around us. Who are they? What is their qualification may be? Someone can be this big preacher, big guru, do so many services. Someone can just humbly worship Krishna, but what is in his heart, that is matter. So Gurudev saying we have to be very careful in our association with the devotees, always taking dust from their lotus feet. Who knows what is in their heart?
Jai. You see, Krishna wanted us to hear from you, and we are very nourished and happy to do so. Hare Krishna. And Shyamananda, presently, he was given, as it were, Midnapur, one area which our devotees go to for collection of rice, collection for Gaurapanima time. We've talked about going on collection before. So Midnapur is one of those areas where our devotees go to, and many devotees are there, and that's by the grace of Shyamananda. And Narottam Das, I believe, went through all the way up to the northeast India, that area where Bhaktiswarup Damodar Maharaj.
Manipur Maharaj.
Manipur, yeah, where Damodar...
Bhaktiswarup Damodar.
Yeah, Bhaktiswarup Damodar, yeah, where he used to be preaching. He came from there and very successful, apparently. And then that Khetri festival, the first actual sort of Gaurapanima festival, the inauguration of that, held with Jannavimata as the head. No, Jannavamata, one of the wives of Nityananda Prabhu. She was the president, and there Srinivasacharya, Shyamananda Prabhu, and Narottam, they're all present there. Big festival. And they say, Shyamananda Prabhu, he established also very close to our temple, which is that area, that whole area. It was like forested. It is only relatively recently it's been built up, and it was all forested. And Seva Kunj, in Seva Kunj, there we know that the various pastimes taking place there, but also Seva Kunj, that's where the Shyamasunda temple was established by Shyamananda Prabhu. So Shyamananda established the Shyamasunda temple. And one of the 7 temples that Srila Prabhupada says the Gaudiya Vaishnavas visit every day. Now you're going to ask, what are those 7 temples, aren't you? Okay, let's test myself. Shyamasunda temple, Radha Damodar temple, Radha Raman temple, Radha Govinda, Radha Madana Mohan, and Radha Gopinath, or Madana Mohan Govinda Gopinath temple, which leaves one more. And that next temple, which
Radha
one?
Damodar Maharaj.
I mentioned Radha Damodar, and which temple did I miss? Come on, all of you Vaishnavas.
Radha Gokulananda.
Radha Gokulananda, thank you very much. Okay, beautiful. So we'll do it in a better order. We'll start with Madana Mohan, Govinda, Gopinath. Then we can come Shyamananda, or Shyamasunda temple, Shyamasunda, Radha Damodar, then Radha Raman, then Radha Gokulananda. This way. And occasionally, on a very few occasions, we have actually visited each of those temples in one day. And it always feels very wonderful when we do it, by the way. Yes.
Since we're back to basics, can you please name all the devotees, the principal devotees in our line who worship these deities and re-establish their worship?
Oh, worship the deities. Oh, okay. Then Madana Mohan or Madana Gopal, both names. This is Sanatana Goswami. Okay, look, Madhavi, she's ready. She's ready, checking us.
I remember your class in Vrindavan, Maharaj. I remember.
Okay, well, we've given a few classes in Vrindavan, it's true.
Yes.
So Madana Mohan is Sanatana Goswami. Then Govindaji is Rupa Goswami, who re-established the worship. Gopinath is his
Madhu. Madhu Pandit.
Madhu Pandit, his samadhi is right beside. Madhu Pandit is Gopinath. And then, okay, Shyama Sundar is Shyamananda, as we just mentioned. And then Radha Damodar, so Radha Damodar is Jiva Goswami, as right beside our temple. Then coming to Radha Raman temple, then this is of Gopal Bhatta Goswami from the Shalagram Shila, the Radha Raman temple, and the Radha Gokulananda temple of established by Vishwanath Chakravarti. And in that temple, other deities also. And I don't understand this, but in the Radha Shyamasundar temple, they do claim to have deities worshipped by Baladev Vidyabhusan. And also in the Radha Gokulananda temple, they do have deities that they claim worshipped by Baladev Vidyabhusan.
The Radha Vijay Govinda.
Radha Vijay Govinda. But I can't answer how it is. It may well be that both is the case.
Perhaps, Maharaj, this is the reason why Mahaprabhu advised Jagadananda Pandit not to mix with the locals or imitate the locals, but stick to Rupa in Sanatan at all times while in Vrindavan. Otherwise, we'll get bewildered.
Well, I have a don't get bewildered box. I just put them all in there. I can accept it all.
Like Maharaj, if you hear the story told by Srila Guru Maharaj about Shyamananda, he is mentioning that he found Nupur in Vraja, one of the places, and he names that place. It's not in Vrindavan, but it's in Vraja, Vrajadam, one of the forests. But in the same time, it is also mentioned that this place is right next to Jiva Goswami. So recently we spoke with Goswami Maharaj about that. He said that we're not the worshippers of the form. We're not interested in that. We're always looking into the substance. What is the Leela representing? But where geographically it is located and who says what? And Gurudev said, Gurudev said, they say this, they say that.
But also, we can see Shyamananda's samadhi, and some say it's his samadhi, some say it's his pushpa samadhi. I mean, various things are said. But whatever else, it's a place where he's worshipped and he's given like special remembrance. When we go there, then special remembrance. So again, the different claims by different persons, but what has become established, and especially established from this time of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, where he's identified, for instance, Govardhan Hill, the Mukharavinda. Srila Saraswati Thakur, he said that this is the Mukharavinda. Oh, well, then we accept that's the Mukharavinda. So a lot of this, it is, we can accommodate everybody's opinions, but we've got our masters and we're giving our particular attention in these places and in this way. And we're happy with that. Praneshwari Devi Dasi raised hand. I don't see any raised hand, but somehow my computer said you did.
Maharaj, you have a comment from last week from Kṛṣṇa Priya. please check the chat.
Krishna Priya Devidasi from SoCal last Saturday said, one time when Srila Gurudev was visiting SoCal, we had a few very rainy days during which we watched the animated Ramayana. Oh my goodness. Afterwards, Srila Gurudev began to talk about Vibhishan and his piety. From there, he went on to talk about the immortals and said that Vibhishan is still alive and living in the Himalayas. And I think living near Veda Vyas, if I'm not mistaken, Badrik Ashram. I may be mistaken. Yes, there are many wonderful things. And you see, saying this, so Gurudev saying that Vibhishan is still alive, then Vibhishan is still alive. And also we understand that Veda Vyas is still alive. It's just we can't see him. Is that?
And you have a question now.
From
Krishna Prana Devi. That's it.
Okay. But about still living, this matter of still living, when then we think, okay, so we can go and shake hands with him or something like this. But we know that there is a whole other world, even in this world, which we don't see. I mean, Gurudev could see ghosts, and not in any fearful way. He's also not fearful of ghosts. He said that they're his friends. And in fact, he engaged them in order to find out what we are doing in Navadip when he's in Calcutta and things like this. I mean, Gurudev told directly. So there's a whole other level. And if we can see, and sometimes we may get some indication, etc., etc., but there's a whole other plane in this world beyond our gross, external handshaking vision. And so when Guru Maharaj is saying that Vibhishan is still living there, then living there, but living there in his finer form. And we're not saying ghost, he's living there. And this way, also Veda Vyas is living there. And his Madhvacharya went to Veda Vyas to learn Bhagavad Gita and learn the scriptures from Veda Vyas himself. And so these are very wonderful things. And actually it was I can't say a dream, but it was just one of those wonderful things that I heard in my early months in Krishna consciousness in England, which is where I joined. And then we hear from England, which that time seems very far from India. Oh, but Veda Vyas is still living in the Himalayas. Then it was like, oh, that's so amazing. And then I remember going to Veda Vyas's cave in the Himalayas, and also then later on saw that photograph of Guru Maharaj outside Veda Vyas's cave, and it just added to the mystique of being there. And then in Seva, going to Veda Vyas's place in Badrik Ashram, for me that was also very wonderful. And wonderful because maybe we've mentioned this before, and at Badrik Ashram itself, it was when we went there, it was the opening day of Badrik Ashram after the winter. And when the ashram, that opening day, I mean, we had no idea, but many people go to Badrik Ashram. So it's like crowded with Hindus, and we got to say, pious people and whatever it may be, but very crowded. And then I was a little cautious about going to Veda Vyas's cave, that, it's going to be like, just hundreds of people lining up and going through. But it was deserted except for the priest. And you have to, the thing is also, you've got to walk to his cave. You can't just take a car and step out of the door and walk into the temple. So anyway, we walked to Veda Vyas's cave and up a hill, it's the Himalayas. And it was deserted except for the priest. And the priest was very sweet. And just there at Veda Vyas's cave. So, we can get some hints of the reality. that Vedavyas, Vibhishan, and others are still living. And we must be cautious. As Paramananda was saying, we can't tell who we're with. They can also choose to come into bodies, and the devas can come into bodies, etc. We must be very careful, not only who we see, but who we don't see, that they are watching us, they're in our presence. And also in the scripture is saying about how the foolish people, they do so many things thinking that no one's watching them, whereas all the devas, they can see everything and they're recording everything that's taking place. We have to start to think on a finer level than just our gross animal nature level. Oh, you have a question. Maybe I shouldn't even read it because it's already over time, Didi. And if I is it a quick answer? It's a long question.
We can leave it for next time, if you want. It's regarding last Saturday.
Okay. Anyway, Kṛṣṇa Priya, so Kṛṣṇa Priya, you know, very happy for your input, and yes. And Gurudev knows these things. That's another thing. We hear it from Gurudev and then we know it. And there are many things we heard from Gurudev and we heard from Guru Maharaj. And literally, I mean, I remember coming out from one talk and myself and another devotee, Vidagdha Madhava Prabhu, Vidagdha Madhava Prabhu, wherever you are right now, on Hawaii maybe. I mean, we were together quite a lot in those days. And we both came out and we both saying, well, if we'd heard that from anybody except Guru Maharaj, we'd be in like little question. But hearing from Guru Maharaj, like, we've heard this from Guru Maharaj. It is so, like, it's so amazing. So we accept all of these wonderful things. And there are so many wonderful things that basically only if you come to Guru Maharaj and Gurudev, you're going to get these conceptions, this kind of indication and understanding. And Srila Prabhupada, of course, but Srila Prabhupada is really, he's setting the whole scene, but within his books and everything, we've got so much more. We've got everything. We're reading Chaitanya Charitamrita. We're reading all of his books all the while. But when we do watch Srila Prabhupada's talks and things, and really he's very much stressing what we are actually doing in our back to basics, you know, getting our basics of devotion, getting that all over the world, the chanting of the holy name, the faith in the holy name, 4 regulative principles. I mean, if you read the very first chapter of a book and the last chapter of a book, or the first canto of Bhagavatam, last canto of Bhagavatam, everywhere, like you've got 4 regulative principles, chant the holy name of the Lord, getting our foundation there, and then so many like wonderful things that then Srila Prabhupada would have continued to say, would have given if he'd had longer with the devotees kind of growing up. And this is where Guru Maharaj and Gurudev continued this. It is really so homogeneous. It's one team, one family. And amazing how now we have that or this opportunity with us to hear amazing things. And we accept from Srila Prabhupada, Guru Maharaj and Gurudev, whatever they say, yes. That's the great fortune. Otherwise, we're in this world and trying to be a judge ourselves, analyzing, oh, is this right? Is this wrong, etc.
And Maharaj, considering they are the residents of that world.
Exactly.
What is the difficulty for them to give us at least drops of those wonders, which is the reality, the beautiful we're talking about, the reality. So if they can just give a drop of that vision, considering our position, how much we can conceive of or how much we can digest of, really. And they were giving us drop by drop, just if they couldn't have given everything. But Guru Maharaj, like you said, Guru Maharaj and Gurudev, they would say things that not in the scriptures even. So we come to the point of Amnaya Tattva, who is revealing the scriptures, the residents of that plane. That's where it's coming from. So again, coming to the point of realizing our fortune and utilizing our fortune.
And surrendering and coming to say, I am yours, where we began today. Once we come to the Lord and say, I am yours, he grants fearlessness forever. Hare Krishna. So do we have some homework, some clear homework this week? I'm ahead of you because I started learning it yesterday. But there is in the chat box, there is that verse, Sakrit eva prapanno yastavasmiti chadyachate abhayang sarvada tasmai dadamyetad vratang mama. We can try, let us try to do that. And so I didn't really go through this question, Praneshri Didi, from Kṛṣṇa Prana Devidasi of SoCal.
We can come again on Saturday because she has a second question after this.
Oh,
so
okay, yes.
We can work on Saturday, yeah.
Right, because we're well over time on this side of the world.
Yes.
And to those on Facebook, and to each of you, our obeisances, my obeisances in each of your languages, Nirupama. How do I say obeisances in Russian? Oh, Dandavat. That'll do. Okay.
Dandavat.
Dandavat.
Paklone, Maharaj. Mai paklone.
Mai patlone to our Russian section, including Amir Sindhu Prabhu. Amir
Maharaj, and
Sindhu.
Nirupama wrote a comment that is interesting. She says, wow, subtitles, Dandavats to all. Because when she said that her English was very, very limited, I said, okay, let's help. But I cannot see the subtitles. I wonder if someone else can see them that is not English. I don't know, because she says she can see the subtitles. So that's great.
Okay, very good.
I cannot see them.
Maybe Amir Sindhu Prabhu is typing, and he is a very good translator. Really, he is one of the best.
Moi pokloni.
No comment from Amir Sindhu Prabhu. But, oh, Moi Pokloni, he does have a comment. Moi Pokloni. Not sure what that means.
I'm doing in 2 languages, Maharaj.
Okay. All right. To each of you, have a good few days, and let's see if we can learn that sloka for your Saturday. After, so Thursday, Friday. So 3 days, right? After 3 days. And let's come to the questions. So Praneshri, you keep the questions, and then you can reveal those next time, and you can let Kṛṣṇa Prana Didi know too. Perfect. All right. Excellent having each and all of you with us. Madhavi Devidasi and Jivana. We didn't even hear a squeak from Jivana this week, but happy to know you're there. And Chinmoy Dev, we didn't hear a squeak, but we can see you. And so a picture tells 1,000 words, so we could hear you. And Sevarupa Didi, Kumkum Didi also, please excuse, we've been chatting away today. We've been chatting away today. That's my best poetry at this hour of the morning. Jai, wonderful Srila Gurudev ki Jai, wonderful Srila Guru Maharaj ki Jai, wonderful Srila Prabhupada ki Jai, and grand, wonderful Bhakti, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur ki Jai, Sri Rupanuga Guru Vaga ki Jai, and all of our also wonderful Sri Chaitanya Saraswati Acharya Brinda ki Jai, and to all of the assembled devotees, or in good Govinda Maharaj English, all the assembled Devotees ki Jai, and all the worldwide devotees ki Jai. Gaura Premanandi, Hari
Hari Hari. Jai Srila Bhakti Ranjan Madhusudan Maharaj ki Jai.
Atitana Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Dandavat Pranam, Jai Gurudev. Be fearless, do the right thing in service, surrender, chant Hare Krishna, be happy. Dandavat.
Thank you, Maharaj. Thank you.
Govinda.
Maharaj. Thank you very much.